Why is it that people can go on these programs and say, I've taken so much from that, I've learned so much, and yet somehow they forget it? And I thought, I don't want to be doing this. This is not what I want to do. It doesn't fit with my values. It doesn't feel great. Is it possible to do it differently? Is it possible to give people a different way of learning something so that it becomes sustainable? So that it becomes a way of life? And so I took all the things I'd learnt over the years and I thought, let me see if I can put together a program. So I did. I'm not sure I knew what the heck I was doing, but anyway, I did it, put it together and ran it with a tiny little group. And I remember at the end of that first 2 days, one of the people on it, who was head of all development and training for Sun Microsystems, said, Penny, that 2 days has just changed my life. And I went, oh, great. I haven't got a clue why. But suddenly Sun became a major client. And I was running programs. It took me a year to work out why this program was having an impact. Now, I've learned and grown over the years as that program has grown with us. But just to give it some sort of perspective, we've now had well over 35,000 people go through that program. And that ranges from some very big corporates through to, we've even taken it into a secondary school. We took it into a primary school with all the teachers. It was about to go into special measures, and they're now winning awards everywhere. Outstanding managers drive people to perform at the highest level they're capable of. And it's very much about control. Outstanding leaders inspire them to do it for themselves. And it's more about freedom. Typically, in every program, when we measure people's communicating behavior from the first time, it's between 90 to 100% communicating from the I. 90 to 100%. It's that high. And yet, if you wish to be a leader, it needs to come from the different place. It needs to come from, what do you think? How would you go about it? And when somebody comes to you for advice, you're saying, well, if you're in my position, what advice might you give? And if you knew there's one step that you might take that could take you further towards where you want to be, what might it be? So it's all the time coming from a question. Nearly always, when I'm personally running a program, I ask people whether they think they're managers or leaders. 90% of the people in the room, sometimes higher than that, will say, we think we're leaders. By the time they've completed the first 2 days, they say, God, we're managing. We're actually managing. But now we understand how to lead. So you cannot look at leadership without looking at how you think. You cannot look at leadership without understanding responsibility. You cannot look at leadership without saying, how do I communicate and what is the likely impact of that communication? None of those can stand in isolation. They're all threads that are closely interlinked and intertwined that you really can't separate them. It's just not possible. It's all about beginning to identify, do I wish to be a manager? Do I wish to be a leader? Which is it that I wish to be? And it may be both. Make no mistake, it may be both. Both may be really important. But it's being able to say, when do I really need to be driving performance? And when do I need to be getting people to think for themselves, being a leader, so that I can get them to step into their potential? What is it that I can do to develop them so that if I go out the door, they still keep doing this and improving performance? A lot of the time I say to people, tell me something, do you think your role is to motivate your guys? And a lot of people say yes. And I say, I'd suggest to you that's not a good place to be. If you think your role is to motivate them, what they're going to do when you're not there? Your role is to inspire them to motivate themselves. That's different. It's all about how can I get ownership where it needs to be, where they can develop to their absolute full potential. It amuses me that these are called soft skills. And believe me, we have evidence coming out of our ears, they're not soft skills. And they lead to very significant bottom line improvement, which is very exciting.